Have you ever given your all to someone, your time, your loyalty, your heart, only to realize they never truly valued it? This video dives deep into the painful truth of being taken for granted and the power of the Stoic mindset. Learn why she never appreciated your presence when you were there, how silence and detachment can shift the power back to you, and why regret only comes when she feels the void you leave behind. Through emotional storytelling and Stoic wisdom, we'll explore how maintaining self-respect and inner strength can not only transform your life, but also make her realize the true value of what she lost. If you've ever been overlooked, ignored, or underappreciated in love, this video will give you clarity, courage, and perspective, and show why walking away with dignity is the ultimate form of strength. Point 1. She never appreciated you when you were there. Think back to all the moments you were there for her, when you dropped everything to listen to her, when you stayed up late to make her feel cared for, when you went out of your way to support her dreams and comfort her fears. You offered patience, understanding, loyalty, and love without hesitation. And yet she never noticed. She never truly valued it. Every effort you made, every small sacrifice, every act of care, it was met with indifference, taken for granted as if it were something she was owed, rather than a gift freely given. She never paused to consider the time, the energy, or the heart you invested in her happiness. She acted as though your presence, your attention, your love were constants that required no acknowledgement, no gratitude, no reciprocity. You watched, quietly hurting, as she laughed at your patience, dismissed your feelings, and even questioned your intentions. Every text you sent asking for clarity, every call trying to resolve misunderstandings, every gentle reminder that your effort mattered was met with negligence. She didn't see the depth of your care. She didn't recognize the countless ways you enriched her life, because she never stopped to appreciate it. She assumed it would always be there, like an endless resource she could tap into whenever she wanted, without ever thinking about what it cost you. And here lies the fundamental truth. People often only recognize value in absence, in loss, in the silence of what they once ignored. She could take your loyalty, your kindness, and your attention for granted, but she cannot take away the fact that you gave your best, fully, sincerely, without hesitation. That is your strength, and it is the foundation of the Stoic mindset. You act rightly, you love wisely, and you give freely, but you do not bend your spirit to demand recognition from someone who refuses to see it. Every smile you shared, every comforting word, every time you put her needs above your own, she overlooked it. Every time you forgave her thoughtlessness, every time you held your tongue when she was unfair, every time you stayed calm while she acted recklessly, she assumed it was your duty. But the day comes when she realizes that those acts were not obligations, they were your choice. And once she feels the emptiness left by your absence, the vacuum of all the care and love she never appreciated, regret starts to creep in. Slowly, painfully, she begins to understand what she lost, the one person who was there for her, unwavering and constant, and whom she treated as if they were replaceable. Point 2. The power of silence and detachment. When someone takes you for granted, your first instinct is often to try harder, to explain yourself, to chase, to prove your worth. But the truth is, no amount of pleading or explaining will make someone appreciate what they never valued in the first place. The moment you choose silence, the moment you step back and stop reacting to their behavior, something profound happens. You reclaim your power. You stop being a participant in their game of neglect and disrespect. Stoicism teaches us that our peace is more valuable than anyone's approval. By detaching from her chaos, by not chasing her attention, You are no longer giving her the comfort of control over your emotions. In that silence, your absence becomes louder than any argument or confrontation ever could. Every ignored message, every unanswered call, every moment you remain calm and collected while she scrambles to fill the void you left. That is when the scales tip. She begins to feel the weight of her choices. The very person she assumed would always be there is now moving on with dignity and self-respect, and suddenly regret replaces indifference. She starts to remember the small things, the late-night conversations, your unwavering support, your patience that she once mocked. And slowly, painfully, she realizes that what she lost cannot simply be replaced. Detachment isn't about cruelty, it's about clarity. It's about understanding that your time, your attention, and your energy are precious. When you stop giving them to someone who fails to value them, you create space not just for self-respect, but also for her to confront the consequences of her negligence. And in that quiet, powerful withdrawal, the truth becomes undeniable. She took you for granted, and now, with every passing day of your composed distance, she can feel the full weight of her regret. Remember, silence is not weakness, it is strength. Absence is not abandonment, it is a mirror showing her what she refused to see. And in the stillness, in the gap you leave, she begins to understand the value of what she thought she could always take for granted. Point 3. How she begins to realize your worth. After a while, when you stop chasing, stop explaining, and stop giving attention to someone who never valued it, a strange shift begins to occur. Suddenly, she notices the silence. Suddenly, the absence of your effort, your patience, and your love starts to echo louder than any words you could have spoken. It's in the quiet moments, when she checks her phone and sees no messages, when she looks around and realizes you're not waiting for her, when she feels the space you've left in her life, that she begins to truly understand the value of what she lost. Regret doesn't hit all at once. It starts small, like a faint pang of recognition that someone who once stood by her without complaint is no longer there. Every memory of your loyalty, your understanding, and your unwavering support comes back to her in sharp contrast to the emptiness she now feels. She remembers the times you forgave her thoughtlessness, the times you prioritized her happiness, the countless ways you showed love without demanding it in return. And in that realization, a powerful emotion begins to grow, something she can't ignore or control. This is the moment she begins to grasp the truth. The man she took for granted was not just present, but irreplaceable. She starts to see that your value was never in your attention alone. It was in your integrity, your self-respect, and your unwillingness to beg for love. And as this understanding settles in, regret sets in as well. She realizes that she cannot rewind time, cannot undo her neglect, and cannot replace the person who once gave everything without compromise. The Stoic mindset teaches us that our worth is defined by how we treat ourselves, not by how others treat us. By stepping back and preserving your dignity, you allow her to confront the reality she ignored for so long. She may feel longing, guilt, or even desperation, but the lesson is yours. You acted rightly, with patience and strength, and she can only look back and wish she had valued what was always right in front of her. Point 4. The moment of regret hits her deepest. There comes a moment, sometimes weeks, sometimes months after you've stepped back, when she can no longer ignore the truth. The laughter, the comfort, the unwavering support you once offered is gone, and she feels it in every corner of her life. Suddenly, she notices the empty space you left, the silence where your words once lived, the absence of your presence in her daily routine. This is the moment when regret strikes hardest, not as a fleeting thought, but as a deep, gnawing realization that she allowed something precious to slip through her fingers. Regret is a cruel teacher, and it teaches her that she cannot reclaim what she once dismissed. Every memory of the patience you showed, every act of kindness she ignored, and every sacrifice she overlooked comes rushing back, not as a comforting recollection, but as a piercing reminder of what she lost. The man who once loved without conditions, who treated her with respect even when she didn't deserve it, is no longer there for her to take for granted. The stability, the loyalty, and the quiet strength she once relied on have vanished, and nothing she does can replace them. And in that moment, she realizes that your value was never in what you gave blindly. It was in the way you carried yourself, the boundaries you set, and the self-respect you maintained. She feels the weight of her own choices, the reality that she mistreated someone irreplaceable, and the emptiness of her regret becomes inescapable. This is the quiet power of Stoicism. You acted with dignity, preserved your peace, and walked away when necessary. Your absence now speaks louder than any confrontation ever could, and in that silence, she finally understands that she lost someone who will not return. Not because you stopped loving her, but because you chose to honor your own worth above her negligence. Point 5. Why walking away is the greatest lesson she can learn. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is nothing at all, not in the sense of giving up on life, but in the sense of stepping back from someone who never truly valued you. When you choose to walk away, you are not being cruel or vengeful. You are teaching the most important lesson, that love, respect, and loyalty are not unlimited resources to be taken for granted. By removing yourself from the situation, by preserving your dignity and refusing to beg for attention, you force her to confront the reality of her actions. She will feel the absence of your presence in ways she never expected. She will remember every moment she dismissed, every word she ignored, every time she assumed your patience was endless. And in that confrontation with reality, she begins to understand that the person she lost was never replaceable. The lesson is clear. Taking someone for granted has consequences, and true appreciation comes only when something invaluable is gone. Walking away is not about punishment, it is about self-respect. It is about knowing your worth and refusing to let anyone diminish it. The Stoic mindset teaches that our peace and our values are more important than anyone's approval. By walking away, you embody strength, clarity, and wisdom. You show her that love cannot exist without respect, that care cannot exist without appreciation, and that patience cannot exist without boundaries. In the end, she learns her lesson the hard way. Regret sets in, not because you acted out of spite, but because she finally realizes what she let slip through her fingers. She comes to see the quiet power of someone who refused to be taken for granted, and that understanding may haunt her long after she wished she had valued you when she had the chance. And for you, walking away is liberation. It is freedom from the burden of being unappreciated, and the opportunity to preserve your dignity, your peace, and your life. Point 6. The power of silence. How your absence speaks louder than words. There is a quiet power in walking away, in choosing silence over endless explanations, in refusing to chase someone who never appreciated your presence. Words can be ignored, arguments can be dismissed, and actions can be undervalued. But absence is undeniable. When you remove yourself from her life, when you stop giving your energy, attention, and time to someone who took it for granted, your absence becomes a mirror, showing her what she lost, what she ignored, and what she can never reclaim. Silence is not weakness. It is the language of self-respect. In the emptiness you leave behind, she begins to hear the echoes of your patience, your loyalty, and your love. She feels it in the spaces you once occupied, in the quiet corners of her day, where your presence used to bring warmth, support, and understanding. And unlike words, silence cannot be argued with, cannot be bargained with, and cannot be dismissed. It exists as a living, breathing reminder of her choices. This is the essence of Stoicism. Knowing that your value is inherent, that your peace is paramount, and that sometimes the most impactful thing you can do for someone who never appreciated you is to step away without resentment, without anger, and without pleading. The absence of your presence is a silent lesson in accountability. It forces her to reflect on what she took for granted, what she neglected, and what she will never get back. By embracing silence and walking away, you reclaim your power, you preserve your dignity, and you let her confront the reality of her own negligence. Every day that passes without you in her life reinforces the truth. She cannot replace what she lost, and the regret that settles in is a testament to the value of the person she failed to cherish. Silence speaks louder than words, and in this quiet, stoic strength, she finally learns the cost of taking someone for granted. Point 7. The lasting impact of respecting yourself over chasing her. Ultimately, the most important lesson in any relationship where you were taken for granted is not about making her regret her choices. It's about understanding your own worth and refusing to compromise it. By choosing self-respect over chasing someone who undervalued you, you send a powerful message, not just to her, but to yourself, that your peace, your dignity, and your integrity are non-negotiable. You show that love is not about desperation, begging, or constant validation. It is about mutual respect, appreciation, and balance.